Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a franchise that's been around since the 80s and something that's significant until this day. Now today what I want to talk about is specifically the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle video games from the 80s until now, and basically why this new release is very important to get right because of my personal love for the Konami series that was released in arcades, Sega Genesis, and Super Nintendo. If you're new to this channel, I like to talk about nostalgic games, especially games that come back from the past and have resurgence, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I'm going to speak to you about what the series means to me, and then I'm going to speak to you about where it's developed. Okay, so starting back in the 80s, I was a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, and I'm going to let you know right from the beginning, I loved Raphael. Raphael was where it was at because I love the color red, and my brother's name is Raphael too, so that drew me into that character that much more. So huge fan of Ninja Turtles. I used to even run up to the screen and sing the theme song when it would be on TV and actually reenact what they would do in the intro. It was like a daily thing. So when a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game came out, let me tell you, it had me visiting that pizzeria where they had that arcade every day. There were two games that did that for me. That was Street Fighter 2 and that series, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this specific arcade cabinet had 4 players at the same time that you can play once. Actually, let me tell you a story of one thing that happened to me once. Now I played this game only on 1 quarter. Every time I got 1 quarter, I would play until I pretty much died. And in 1 quarter, I could get to April O'Neil. She gets kidnapped by Shredder, jumped out the window, fight through the streets, and then fight into the sewer. Right in the sewer is specifically where I caught the end of the game on 1 quarter. So I was pretty proud of myself. But that game in itself was just something that I wanted to practice and get better at. But I always wanted to play with all 4 turtles at the same time. So one day, a friend of mine, his name is Dominic, haven't seen him in years. He comes to the arcade, changes $1 for 4 quarters, gives it to all his friends, including me. We pop it in the arcade machine, and it was all 4 of us playing at the same time. I was Raphael, and all of us were playing, and I think I was one of the last ones who outlasted everybody else and got as far as possible. But that was an arcade experience and a multiplayer arcade experience that I think even surpassed any time I played Street Fighter 2 against anybody else in the arcade. So that was that. So when it came to home conversions, Nintendo decided to actually put out a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game on their console. So when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out for Nintendo and I played it, I was like, what is this? It was at my friend Alex's house and I just didn't understand it. I'm like, why is this so different? And okay, I get it, it's home console, so it's not going to be as good as arcade. But it just didn't play well on Nintendo. And I just thought that it was just not what I wanted. You couldn't play as the turtles at the same time. It was just really strange and weird. Raphael was pretty much useless, so I was just sad. But then, sometime later, Turtles in Time came to the arcade, and that was a brand new Ninja Turtles experience with better animations, better fighting mechanics, and I was just blown away with this game in the arcade. Though I must admit, I didn't play it as much as the original Ninja Turtles, but I just loved the franchise. I loved the beat 'em up action in it. I loved the fact that it was cartoony, so it was its own unique style, and I just loved the cartoon so much that to play it on an arcade machine that made me feel like I'm actually playing the cartoon was where it had grabbed me. One thing that I realized is that many beat 'em ups from back then, and even as I got older, is that the AI from enemies isn't really bright. They're gonna approach you and then they're just gonna try to hit you and just kind of overwhelming you, but always charging forward. But Ninja Turtles had a difference. The foot soldiers themselves, as cartoony as they were, and you could pretty much beat up a lot of them, they had different fighting styles, and they were not immediately confrontational. If you approach one of the enemies in these Ninja Turtle games, in these beat 'em ups, they would back up a little bit because they were prepared to do whatever move it is that they're pre-programmed to do. Sometimes approach you and give you a good punch or grab you, but they planned out a strategy that was unique, and it wasn't always like they all rush you. It was almost like they had a pretty well-planned, well-thought-out AI that made it a lot more fun and engaging. And the different characters and the different machine enemies or whatnot, they all fought differently and played differently and had their own unique moves, which made it that much more exciting and that much better. And the turtle animations themselves were great, and how you can beat them up and how you can fall for little traps and tricks makes it a lot more relatable to like the cartoon series that was relevant at the time. So that's what I enjoyed. Sometime later, the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis version of Turtles in Time came out. Now, the Genesis version was tweaked to be its own Hyperstone heist, which was kind of like special customization to me, which is, I pictured it like a mixture between the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Turtles in Time meshed into one game for the Genesis, which I actually appreciated. But Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo, which was really great too. It had its own special sound effects, and it was really, I thought was really immersive as well and fun to play. And I enjoyed both versions, though I particularly liked the drawing style and the animation style of the Genesis better than the Super Nintendo. I thought they were both great, but that's just my personal preference, of course. So when playing those games at home, it's like, oh my gosh, I have the arcade at home, and I couldn't stop playing those games. And I loved them. Now, I conveniently skipped over the Nintendo arcade game and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, which was the Manhattan Project, which was custom to the Nintendo console, because they figured, hey, they like these beat-em-ups, let's give them beat-em-ups. Because I didn't really play those games, but I heard that they were really great ports, even though they were 8-bit versions of the ports. They were really great ports and have their own respect there. But I didn't relate to those because I didn't own them. I owned the Hyperstone Heist, and in Hyperstone Heist, that's when I really felt we brought the arcade home. Sega Genesis promised that for ages, but it wasn't until I played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Hyperstone Heist that I felt like this is arcade quality at home. And even Super Nintendo's Turtles in Time, same thing. This is arcade quality at home. So that's what I related to the series. Now, sometime later, I'd say in the 2000s, in the PlayStation 2 timeline, it seemed that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, of course, their animation, the original animation series just faded out, and then they had new Nickelodeon series that was relevant, and they wanted to put out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games again. So they released on PlayStation 2, and I believe Xbox, but at least I bought the PlayStation 2 versions, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles again, and it was a beat 'em up, but it used a 3D engine, and it was very different from the original games. And they released, I believe, 1 or 2 sequels after that. And that's when I realized that as cool as 3D gaming is, because it was really catching relevance in the late 90s and early 2000s, it wasn't really hitting the same beats and the quickness and the fun and animation. It had the look of the new Ninja Turtles, which I couldn't relate to because I related to the classic series. And it was just not as fun, in my personal opinion. I finished the game, but it was just, it almost seemed like work rather than fun, funny arcade gameplay. The cool thing about at least the first 2 Ninja Turtles games on the PlayStation was that they actually had unlockable the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, and I believe Turtles in Time, if I'm not mistaken, in the second game, which is cool because that's all I played those games for, is because I wanted to play the originals, so I wanted to unlock them. What does that tell you? It tells you I'm working through a game just so I could play the better game that's locked away. Kind of sad. So fast forward to today, I still play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Hyperstone Heist. I even play it on the modded Vita. You see? I play it portable on my modded Vita. Totally fun. So then when I found out that there's going to be another classic style Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, I was excited but skeptical. The reason that I was excited was, of course, if it's bringing back that traditional arcade style gameplay, then I'm all for it. But skeptical because when I saw the trailer, there was something very evidently different. Now, of course, this isn't developed by Konami, so this is outside of that. They couldn't use the original assets or copy the style specifically to perfection. But the turtles look slightly different, the cartoon drawings look slightly different, And I'm not shading it out, because look at Streets of Rage. That looked totally different from the original first 3 games, and I think Streets of Rage 4 was an excellent job. Super excellent job. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles itself, that animation, that look, that when compared to the originals, that kind of scares me. So when I see the trailer and I see all of this fun animation style happening, to me, I won't knock it until I try it, right? I want to play the game. But if it's unfamiliar, or if it's clunky, if it's not super tight like the original game was, then I'm kind of going to be disappointed. But I can't tell you how excited I am that it's actually coming back. And if it's got similar style music, especially if it has the nostalgic music and sound effects, modernized, I'm okay with. But still, that type of, because the sound in those games too was just top notch for back then. But that's what I think, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the studio can do with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles once it's complete. And I'm definitely picking it up, because this franchise is one that I've loved for over 30 years. But what do you guys think? Are you excited about this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game? That's my personal story and my relationship with the franchise. So that's all I got to say. As always, if you like this video, let me know if you'd like to see more, and I'll talk about more. As always, thank you. Like this video. You made my day if you watch this. And subscribe. See you later.